People as poor as you two are having a wedding? The words hung in the air like shattered glass. I watched my mother's lips curl into a sneer as she held the cream-colored invitation between two fingers, as if it might contaminate her perfectly manicured nails. The Italian restaurant suddenly felt too small, too hot. Golden light from the Murano chandelier cast shadows across her face, making her look like a stranger. Beside me, Adam didn't flinch. He simply reached for the wine bottle, his movements calm and deliberate, and refilled her glass. Always the gentleman, even when being gutted alive. Across the table, Iris, my younger sister, pressed her napkin to her lips, but not before I caught the smirk. She'd been waiting for this moment, I realized. Probably choreographed her reaction in the mirror that morning. The clatter of silverware against porcelain seemed deafening in the silence that followed. Other diners at Bella Vista continued their conversations, oblivious to the small massacre happening at table 7. "Mom," I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. "We're hoping you'll reconsider. It would mean everything to have you there." She pushed the invitation across the white tablecloth like it was a bad hand at poker. "I'm busy that day. Iris is getting promoted. We're having a proper celebration for someone who's actually accomplished something." The knife twisted deeper. Adam's hand found mine under the table, warm and solid. His thumb traced circles on my palm, our silent language for, "I'm here." I picked up my water glass, letting the condensation cool my fingers. "Then go to that party, Mom. We'll have our wedding, and it will be exactly what it should be." She turned away, already dismissing us. Already gone. 5 years ago, I didn't know that rock bottom could feel like home. The startup was called Quantum Leap. Ambitious name for a company that crashed in 6 months. I was Adam's partner then, just partners, splitting instant ramen and dreams in a converted warehouse in Soma. The day the investors pulled out, everyone scattered like roaches when the lights come on. Everyone except me. I found him sitting on the floor, surrounded by papers, the afternoon sun cutting through the dusty windows. He looked up when I walked in, surprise flickering across his face. "Shouldn't you be job hunting?" he asked. "Probably." I set down 2 coffees, terrible vending machine coffee, all we could afford. But I figured we could wallow together first, then rebuild. That was the moment, though neither of us knew it yet. While Iris was sending our mother photos of her new corner desk and business cards, Adam and I were building something real from the ruins. We worked 18-hour days. The printer jammed constantly, its mechanical coughs becoming the soundtrack to our partnership evolving into something more. Late one night, delirious from exhaustion, he looked up from his laptop and said, "One day, they'll see who we are." I didn't ask who they were. We both knew. "We don't need them to," I replied, surprising myself with how much I meant it. "We'll build it anyway." He smiled then, this real, unguarded smile that made my heart do something complicated and wonderful. That was when I knew I loved him. Somewhere between the broken dreams and burnt coffee, in a moment that had nothing to do with success and everything to do with stubborn hope. My mother called every Sunday like clockwork, and every Sunday included an update about Iris. "Your sister just got assigned to a major client. The senior partners really trust her." Each accomplishment delivered with the unspoken comparison. "Unlike you." I'd put her on speaker while sorting invoices. Adam would shake his head, mouthing, "Ignore her." But I didn't need to ignore it. I had something she couldn't understand. A partner who stayed when the lights went out, who believed in building rather than performing. We got the business back on its feet slowly, methodically. By year 2, we had 15 employees. By year 3, we were profitable. By year 4, Adam proposed over takeout Chinese food in the same warehouse where we'd started, and I said yes before he finished asking. My mother's voice echoed in my head even then. What kind of future does a failed entrepreneur offer? The answer, it turned out, was the one we'd build ourselves. Bella Vista was my mother's choice, of course. She liked restaurants with names that sounded expensive, places where being seen mattered more than the food. The mirrors lining the walls multiplied us. My mother's critical expression reflected infinitely. Iris's calculated innocence copied ad nauseum, Adam's quiet dignity, and me, trying so hard to look like this didn't hurt. I'd chosen the moment carefully. Family dinner, neutral ground, with Adam present so she could see us as a unit. I slid the invitation across the table during dessert, when I thought the good wine might have softened her edges. I thought wrong. People as poor as you two are having a wedding? She didn't even open it, just held it like evidence of my poor judgment, her eyes flicking to Adam's off-the-rack suit, his Timex watch, his gentle smile that she mistook for weakness. "We'd really love for you to be there," Adam said, his voice warm despite the ice in her gaze. "It's not about the money, it's about family." Family? She set down her wine glass with deliberate precision. "I'm busy that weekend anyway. Iris is being promoted to manager. A real achievement deserves a real celebration." Iris performed her part perfectly, all modest eyebrow raises and, "Oh, Mom, you don't have to make such a fuss." The lies rolled off her tongue like a rehearsed speech. I wondered if she practiced in the mirror, perfecting that blend of humility and smugness. "When successful people achieve something," my mother continued, adjusting her Hermes scarf, "you celebrate properly, not some bargain basement ceremony." The accusations stung more than the refusal. Not because I cared about expensive venues, but because she thought that's what defined worth. She'd raised me to believe love was transactional. Success was measured in salary, and redemption wasn't possible after failure. I picked up the invitation she'd rejected, smoothing the crumpled edge. "That's okay, Mom. You go to Iris's party. We'll have our wedding." I met her eyes, refusing to blink first. "And it will be exactly what matters. People who actually care about us." "Don't be dramatic, Phoebe." She waved dismissively, already signaling the waiter for the check. "You'll understand when you're older, when you finally grow up and see the world clearly." But I did see clearly. I saw a woman who'd rather attend a lie than witness a truth. I saw a sister who'd built her identity on being better than me. And I saw Adam, steady and sure, his hand finding mine under the table. The invitation slipped from my mother's designer purse as she stood to leave, fluttering to the floor like a white flag of surrender. Neither she nor Iris looked back as they walked out, leaving Adam and me in the warm glow of chandeliers that suddenly felt less oppressive. "Well," he said softly, "that went about as expected." I laughed, surprising myself. Exceeded expectations, actually. She usually takes longer to crush my soul. The drive home felt longer than usual. San Francisco lights blurred past the windows of Adam's aging Honda. Street lamps, neon signs, the headlights of other cars filled with people probably having normal evenings with normal families who showed up for things. He didn't try to fill the silence with platitudes. That was one of the things I loved about him. He knew when words would just be noise. His right hand rested on the gear shift, and I covered it with mine, grounding myself in something solid. We were stopped at a red light on Market Street when the tears came. Not dramatic sobs, just quiet streams down my cheeks that I couldn't stop. I turned toward the window, watching my reflection weep against the backdrop of the city. "I'm not crying because of what she said," I whispered. "I'm crying because I actually thought tonight might be different. That seeing us together, seeing how happy we are, might matter to her." Adam squeezed my hand. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think we shouldn't waste energy proving her wrong. Let's just prove ourselves right." The light turned green, and we merged back into traffic. In the rearview mirror, I watched the restaurant district fade behind us, the warm glow of Bella Vista becoming just another dot of light in the city's constellation. Each block we drove felt like distance from the hurt, like we were physically leaving the rejection behind. "My mom used to say that family is everything," I said after a while. But she only meant it conditionally. Family is everything. If you're successful, if you make her look good, if you follow the script she wrote. "Then we'll write our own script," Adam replied. "One where showing up matters more than showing off, where staying matters more than winning." I thought about all the times Iris had abandoned her principles for advancement, how she'd learned to weaponize our mother's approval. I thought about Adam staying in that warehouse when everyone else fled, how he'd rebuilt not just a business but a belief that failure wasn't fatal. "You know what I want?" I said suddenly. "I want a wedding that's nothing like she'd approve of. Small, real, just people who actually love us." "Done." He smiled, that crooked smile that still made my heart stutter. Though I draw the line at a Vegas drive-thru. No promises. By the time we pulled into our apartment complex in the Mission, the tears had dried. The moon hung low over the city, indifferent to human drama, beautiful in its constancy. Adam came around to open my door, his little ritual even after the worst nights, and we walked upstairs together. In our small living room with its mismatched furniture and walls covered in dreams, I felt richer than Iris ever would, because I had someone who saw me fail and stayed. Someone who chose me on purpose, not because I performed well. That was worth more than any promotion, than any mother's approval. We got married on a beach in Half Moon Bay on a Tuesday in April. There were 17 people there, friends from the lean years, colleagues who'd believed in the company's second act, Adam's college roommate who flew in from Boston. No family from my side. The absence was noticeable, a gap in the small crowd like a missing tooth, but it didn't feel empty. It felt honest. I wore a simple dress from a boutique in North Beach, ivory silk that caught the wind. No veil, no train, no thousands spent on something worn once. Adam wore a gray suit, his grandfather's watch, and an expression that made me feel like the only person on earth. The officiant was our friend Marcus, ordained online the week before. When he asked, "Who gives this woman to be married?" There was a pause. The traditional moment when a father steps forward, performs the ritual transfer of ownership that we pretend isn't about ownership anymore. No one moved. Then I stepped forward, took Adam's hands in mine, and said clearly, "I do." A ripple of emotion went through our small gathering. Someone sniffed. Adam's eyes got bright, and I watched him blink rapidly, fighting tears and losing. We said our vows, words we'd written at 2 a.m. over beer and vulnerability, and Marcus pronounced us married to the sound of waves and scattered applause. During the reception at a nearby restaurant, while I was dancing with Adam to Billie Holiday, I saw someone checking their phone and smiling sadly. I knew without asking. Instagram was probably lit up with my mother's posts from Iris's fake promotion party. Some lavish venue in downtown San Francisco, my sister in designer clothes she'd probably return, captions about pride and success and #blessedmom. "What are you thinking about?" Adam murmured, swaying with me. "How perfect this is," I replied, and meant it. The string lights, the sound of genuine laughter, the way the sun painted everything gold as it set over the Pacific. How I wouldn't change a single thing. Later, someone showed me Mom's Instagram. Photo after photo of Iris at what looked like a corporate event at the Fairmont. Champagne towers and speeches and a banner congratulating her promotion. The caption read, "So proud of my successful daughter. Some children make you shine. I'm proud mom. Success, family first." I handed back the phone without comment. Let her have her performance. Let Iris bask in manufactured glory. Meanwhile, I had the real thing, a partner who'd seen me at my worst, and decided that was when I was most worth loving. We spent our wedding night in a bed and breakfast overlooking the ocean, where the sound of waves drowned out everything else. No honeymoon in Europe, no luxury resort. Just us, salt air, and the future we'd build together. Somewhere in San Francisco, my mother was probably still posting photos. Here I was becoming someone who didn't need her validation to feel whole. That felt like winning. My sister was very good at lying. It was practically an art form. I didn't know the full extent until later, but the pieces started coming together through mutual acquaintances. Iris worked at a mid-sized tech company in the financial district. Not quite prestigious enough to brag about, but respectable enough to build fantasies around. She was a contractor, 6 months into a renewable position. No promotion, no management role. Just a decent job doing decent work, which apparently wasn't enough for her, or for our mother's insatiable need for bragging rights. So Iris created an elaborate fiction. First came the social media blitz, carefully staged photos at her desk with "working late on the big project" captions, screenshots of calendar invites to meetings with impressive-sounding names, a new blazer, expensive, probably maxed out her credit card, photographed with "dressing for the role you want" hashtags. Then the party. She'd told Mom she was being promoted to manager, a complete fabrication. To sell it, she'd rented a private room at the Fairmont, invited coworkers under the pretense of a team celebration, and positioned herself as the guest of honor. She'd even had a banner made. "Congratulations, Iris!" The coworkers came for free food and drinks, confused but willing to play along. One of them, Sarah, mentioned it to her boyfriend, who happened to work in Adam's building. Small world, San Francisco. "Your sister works at Quantum Innovations?" He'd asked me at a gallery opening a month after our wedding. "I guess she does," I replied, barely interested. Iris and I hadn't spoken since the dinner. "Funny thing," he continued, taking a sip of wine. "My girlfriend works there too. She said there was this weird party where one of the contractors pretended she got promoted, but nobody in management knew anything about it. Total mystery." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "When was this?" "Same weekend you got married, actually. My girlfriend thought it was strange. Like, who throws themselves a promotion party that their own company doesn't know about?" I didn't tell Adam that night. It felt petty to care. We were building something real. Our company had just signed 2 major contracts. We were talking about expanding to a second location, and I was genuinely happy. Why let Iris's desperate performance art poison that? But I thought about it. Thought about her sitting in that rented room, accepting congratulations for an achievement that didn't exist. Thought about my mother posting photo after photo, building a narrative of success that was nothing but expensive smoke and mirrors. The thing about lies, though, is they require constant maintenance. You have to remember what you said, who you told, which version you're performing for which audience. It's exhausting. Truth, on the other hand, just sits there. Solid. Waiting. And I had truth on my side, even if nobody knew it yet. In Silicon Valley, secrets don't keep. Eventually, every lie finds light. I just didn't know our light would shine quite so bright. "The invitations look good," Phoebe said, holding up the embossed cardstock. "Very professional." We were in the conference room of what had become Cole Group headquarters, 15 floors up in a glass building in downtown LA. 10 years since the bankruptcy. 10 years of slow, deliberate building. We'd moved south after year 7, when the opportunities in Los Angeles outpaced what San Francisco could offer. Adam had insisted on subtle branding for the anniversary gala. The Cole Group logo, a simple, elegant design, appeared in the corner of each invitation. No flashy announcements, no ostentatious displays, just a celebration of a decade in business, an invitation to colleagues, partners, and employees from all 6 subsidiary companies, including Quantum Innovations, the mid-sized tech firm we'd acquired 2 years ago. The company where Iris worked. Neither Adam nor I had mentioned the connection when we finalized the acquisition. He handled most of the business operations. I'd moved into the VP role, managing corporate culture and integration. We were good at keeping business and personal separate. We'd had to be. "Did you check the RSVP list?" Adam asked, reviewing the seating chart. 300 confirmed, another 50 maybes. I scanned down the spreadsheet. Wait. My finger stopped on 2 names. Mom and Iris RSVP'd, yes? Adam looked up from his laptop. They work for one of our companies. They'd have gotten invitations with everyone else. But they don't know? No. His expression was carefully neutral. I've kept a low profile. Most subsidiary employees have never seen the parent company leadership. That was intentional. My heart started beating faster. Adam, what are you planning? I'm not planning anything. He closed his laptop, meeting my eyes. I'm just hosting a company anniversary party. If certain people happen to discover certain truths, well, that's just transparency in action. I should have felt vindictive satisfaction. Instead, I felt something more complicated. Nervousness, maybe? Or anticipation. The woman I'd become over the past decade wasn't sure she wanted revenge. But the girl who'd been humiliated at Bella Vista? She was very interested in this moment. The venue looks incredible, I said, changing the subject to something safer. The event coordinator really delivered. Everything's ready. Adam stood, straightening his tie. The catering is confirmed. The AV team has the presentation loaded. Marcus is going to handle the announcement. Marcus? Our wedding officiant was now our chief operating officer, promoted 3 years ago when his strategic brilliance became impossible to ignore. He knows? He insisted. Adam smiled. Said, and I quote, I was there when you two had nothing but hope and instant ramen. I'm not missing this. The invitations sat in neat stacks, ready for final distribution. I picked one up, running my finger over the embossed logo. Cole Group. Our name, our decade, our truth. Justice doesn't always roar, I murmured, remembering something my college philosophy professor used to say. Sometimes it just shows up right on time. Sometimes, Adam agreed, it's just dinner served warm. The ballroom at the Millennium Biltmore was exactly the kind of venue my mother would appreciate. Crystal chandeliers, marble columns, the weight of old money and new success mingling under soaring ceilings. 300 guests mingled with cocktails as a string quartet played softly in the corner. I spotted them near the bar. Mom in a designer gown she'd probably bought specifically for this event. Iris in something sleek and black that screamed, "I belong here." They were studying the room with identical expressions of evaluation, trying to figure out the hierarchy, who mattered most. Neither had seen me yet. I was backstage, watching through a gap in the curtains, my heart hammering against my ribs. "You okay?" Marcus appeared beside me, immaculate in his tuxedo. Surprisingly, yes. I smoothed down my gown, deep emerald silk that Adam had helped me choose. Nervous, but okay. Good. He squeezed my shoulder. "Because it's showtime." The lights dimmed. The crowd quieted. I watched Mom grab Iris's arm, her face animated, probably thinking this was Iris's company event, that her daughter was somehow important here. Marcus took the stage, his voice amplified by perfect acoustics. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for celebrating 10 years of the Cole Group with us tonight. A decade ago, this company was just an idea in a warehouse. 2 people, 1 broken dream, and the audacity to try again." I saw Mom lean toward Iris, whispering something, probably asking which executive Iris knew well enough to warrant the invitation. Tonight, we honor the vision and perseverance of our founder. Marcus paused for effect, his smile genuine. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president and CEO of the Cole Group, Mr. Adam Cole." The applause swelled as Adam walked onto the stage. I watched through the curtain gap as realization dawned on my mother's face. The color drained from her cheeks. Iris's wine glass trembled in her hand. Adam's voice carried perfectly across the room. "I once lost everything. Not just money or a business, but the belief that success could be built on anything real. Then I met someone who taught me that failure isn't fatal, that showing up matters more than showing off, that the right partner makes you brave enough to start over." He paused, his eyes finding mine even through the curtain. "I rebuilt this company with my wife, my partner, the woman who stayed when everyone else ran. Please welcome our Vice President of Operations, Phoebe Cole." The curtain opened. Spotlights caught the name placard at my place on the stage. VP, Phoebe Cole. I walked out to genuine applause from people who knew my work, respected my contributions, had no idea about the family drama they were witnessing. I didn't look directly at my mother. Didn't need to. In my peripheral vision, I saw her sink into her chair, saw Iris's hand fly to her mouth. Somewhere in the room, a wine glass shattered against marble floor. The sound of illusions breaking, I thought, and smiled. I found them in the coat check area 20 minutes later, a small alcove away from the celebration. Mom sat on a bench, her designer purse clutched in her lap like a shield. Iris stood against the wall, mascara smudged, staring at her phone like it might offer an escape route. They both looked up when I entered, the silence stretched tight as a wire. "Quite a surprise," I said finally, keeping my voice neutral. "You could have told us." Mom's voice cracked on the last word. Not an apology, of course, just accusation wearing a different face. "You let us make fools of ourselves." "I sent you a wedding invitation," I replied quietly. "You chose not to come. That was your decision, not mine." Iris pushed off from the wall. "You knew I worked for one of your companies. You knew, and you didn't say anything." "I didn't know until after the acquisition. And then..." I shrugged. "What was I supposed to do? Call you up? We haven't spoken in 2 years, Iris. Not since you smirked at me across that dinner table while Mom eviscerated my life choices." "I didn't." "You did." I cut her off, but there was no heat in it. Just tired fact. "You built your entire identity on being better than me. On being the successful one. The accomplished daughter. But it was all performance, wasn't it? The promotion that never happened. The party you staged. The lies you told so you could feel superior." Iris's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked like the little sister I'd grown up with, before competition poisoned everything. I just wanted Mom to be proud of me. I know. And I did. We were both casualties of the same impossible standards. We'd just chosen different strategies for survival. But pride built on lies isn't real, Iris. It's just exhausting. Mom finally spoke, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. I was wrong about Adam. Yes, I agreed. You were. And about you. I absorbed that, letting the words settle. Not quite an apology, but closer than I'd expected. I don't need you to apologize, Mom. I just need you to understand something. The man you dismissed as a failure? He taught me more about worth than you ever did. He showed me that falling down isn't the end. That the measure of a person isn't their bank account or their job title. I moved toward the door, ready to return to my celebration, to the life I'd built in spite of her doubts. Then I paused, looking back at two women who suddenly seemed much smaller than they had in my memory. You can stay if you want. There's plenty of food, and the speeches are done. Or you can leave. Either way, I'm good. Adam was waiting in the hallway, patient as always. He raised an eyebrow in question. Complicated, I said, taking his arm. But I'm okay. Yeah? He studied my face. Yeah. We walked back toward the music together. 3 weeks later, I sent my mother a text. Dinner at our place this Sunday? Nothing fancy, just us. She replied 6 hours later. What time? The table in our Los Angeles home was one Adam and I built ourselves. Reclaimed wood from a demolished warehouse in Arts District, sanded and stained over the course of several weekends. It wasn't perfect. You could see the seams where different planks joined, the small divot where I'd dropped a screwdriver. But it was solid. Ours. Sunday evening, the doorbell rang at exactly 7. My mother stood on the doorstep holding a bottle of wine, expensive, which didn't surprise me, and an expression I'd never seen on her face before. Uncertainty. Come in, I said, stepping back. She entered slowly, taking in our home. Modern but warm. Art from local galleries. Photos of Adam and me scattered throughout. No evidence of wealth displayed for show. Just evidence of lives being lived on purpose. This is lovely, she said, and almost sounded like she meant it. Adam emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. Helen, glad you could make it. He took her coat with the same courtesy he'd shown at Bella Vista, when she'd been shredding his worth with every word. We sat at the table I'd mentioned in my text, the one I'd told her we built ourselves. She ran her hand across the surface, fingers tracing the grain. Not from IKEA, I said lightly, bringing out salad. We made it last year. Took 3 months of weekends, but we wanted something that would last. She nodded slowly, still touching the wood. It's beautiful. Dinner was simple. Roasted chicken, vegetables from the farmer's market, bread from the bakery down the street. We ate to the sound of jazz floating from the speaker, conversation careful but genuine. Adam told a story about a deal that almost fell through. I mentioned the new community program we were launching through the company. Mom listened more than she talked, which might have been a first. As I cleared the plates, she said quietly, I owe you an apology. A real one. I paused, meeting her eyes. I taught you that love was transactional. That success meant performing for others. That worth was something you had to prove constantly. She swallowed hard. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. The words hung there, imperfect but honest. I thought about all the ways I'd imagined this moment. The satisfaction, the vindication, the I told you so that would feel so good to deliver. Instead, I just said, thank you. We moved to the living room for coffee. The moon rose over Los Angeles, visible through our floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the city below into a constellation of possibilities. Mom sat on our couch, cradling her mug, looking more human than she had in years. The table really is lovely, she said again. Solid. Like it could hold anything you put on it. That was the idea, Adam replied, his hand finding mine. Build something strong enough to weather whatever comes. We sat in comfortable silence. 3 people who'd survived the breaking and found their way to something like peace. Not perfect. Not healed completely. But honest. Outside, the city hummed with a million lives being lived, a million stories unfolding. Inside, we'd built something that mattered more than appearances. A table where truth was welcome, where failure wasn't fatal, where showing up mattered more than showing off. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just dinner served warm, at a table built to last, with people brave enough to start over. And that, I thought, watching my mother laugh at one of Adam's terrible jokes, was exactly enough.